A good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Coming up the Tuesday Rant with the Crusty Canuck. That's right. The online harms bill has been passed or is being read, whatever, bill C-63 and the backlash, in my personal opinion on that, too. All that more come at the podcast. Please stick around. Listener and viewer discretion may be advised because I might smoke cigarettes or I might swear and make some funny faces and some unkind gestures to our leaders that be. Stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tuesday Rant for this February 27th, 2024. This podcast is also brought to you in part and supported by the Veterans for Freedom Network. And coming soon, the Veterans for Freedom TV Stand 2. Be more information as we go along with this show. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for all those individuals that have sent me some warm comments. My last podcast, thank you. You guys are awesome. One more time. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are fucking phenomenal. Ooh, I dropped an F-bomb. Oops, I'm sorry, YouTube. Anyhow, as the title card said, episode 264. The online harms bill C-63 that came out yesterday. So basically what it was is that they're all been saying they're protecting kids, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we've all seen and heard about parental controls and everything there when it comes to what your children should see, what your spouses should see, and all that good stuff. Now, I'm guilty of seeing some naughty pictures myself over the years online, and I'm guilty of saying some naughty things online too. Ew, behave. But I'm also an adult, and I'm a taxpayer, and I'm a vet, so I can get away with it. Now, I've never done anything derogatory or rotten to anybody, per se. I've said some rude things to some people because they've deserved it. And there's been people that have said some really rude things to me online too. But when it comes to the welfare of kids, I think mom and dad and guardians alike should step up to the plate and look out for this. Okay. We don't need big government standing in front of us saying, we're doing this for your safety, which is bullshit, because they've been saying they've been doing things for our safety for a very, very long time. When it regards to our money, what we spend it on, where we spend it, what we consume, government has a big say in these things. Government has a big say in the beer and the liquor we drink. Government has a big say in what we put into our tanks, as in when it comes to driving our vehicles, right? How much more government do we need, ladies and gentlemen, in this so-called crisis of identity politics is what it is. Okay. Now, my personal opinion is this, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of what the federal government says in the name of online harms, Britain's doing the same thing. There's some legislation in the States. There's other legislation, other parliaments and other republics out there that have constantly pushed the whole online harms thing. What it is, it's a stifling of freedom of expression. And our liberal friends and our NDP friends, basically commies, and all the supporters can sit there and stomp their feet and go, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not about expression. It's about safety. Oh, it's about freedom. It's about safety, protecting the kids. As I said in my last episode, where was all this outcry to protect children during the pandemic? Where were the concerned parents and the concerned teachers and bureaucrats and administrators alike protecting these kids during the pandemic? Nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found, except to get along, to go along, to get along, etc., etc., etc. What a load of crap, okay? Now, they brought in C-11 and C-18 to protect journalists and to stifle podcasters such as myself and such other podcasters out there, okay, in getting our words out. Now, I do not know any functioning adult in my circle of life here, that includes family, friends, acquaintances, that would go out of their way to harm a minor in the name of their own perversions. Okay? I personally don't know. And I made it very, very clear to members of my family and to my friends too, okay, that I don't tolerate that kind of behavior whatsoever. I don't. Okay? There is no room for it. There's no excuse for it. People that are attracted to minors, as far as I'm concerned, deserve to be punished severely. Okay? And I don't care what the preference says or what the nouveau science says or what the woke ideology says. It's disgusting. Now, for the government to step in and say all this crap about online harms and saying this and saying that, and the fines and what will happen if you promote this, and the fines that will happen if you promote that, their biggest concern is the whole hate speech thing and promoting genocide and promoting and death and chaos and crimes. Now, there's already legislation on the table in regards to what you can say online when it comes to that, when it comes to violence. You type in certain words and saying, I hate these people because, I hate those people because, there's already rules and legislation in place in our federal system, as well as on certain providers too. So basically what the government did was put another lock and key on something and to have something monitored. Some of these broadcasters and some of these bureaucrats alike have sat there and pleaded and said, oh, we need an ombudsman. We need someone to oversee. We need more regulation. Pay attention to that word, ladies and gentlemen. More bloody regulation. Do we not have enough regulation in our lives already? Tax season's coming. Oh, of course. More regulation there, right? Huh? More bloody regulation to what we give to the federal government this fiscal year. Again, yes, of course. Don't file. You didn't hear me say that. Anyhow. So with all this hoopla and hype about Bill C-63, my apologies, I said Bill C-36, but Bill C-63, the Amendment to Online Harms Act, or whatever word salad they want to give us again today, in the name of progress and keeping everyone safe. It's amazing how they want to put emphasis on children's safety, and yet these clowns cannot defend this country. Priorities, eh? Interesting how that works. But anyway, I'm digressing. So my personal opinion towards this whole thing is just an excuse to put more eyes on things. How many times we heard about more regulations and we need someone to oversee? So there'll be another government job in the works. They'll be paying somebody, what, $250,000 to watch people like me, like you, like your friends, and their two friends, and their two friends, and they'll gib a gab and exchange emails and try to really sit and scratch their butts and decide, is this content hateful or is it not hateful? Is this content worth our time? Should we raise some eyebrows and put some red flags up because this guy hates his taxes? Should we put red flags up because someone thinks the prime minister is a putz? Okay. Should we put red flags up when someone has the opinion saying that the minister of finance and the deputy PM is a stunned, you know what? Rhymes with hunt? Is that what's going to happen? Is that what we're sizing us up to? No one is making light to what happened to certain teenagers over the past 10 years in regards to predatory behavior. No one's making light of that. I'm not. What happened to those individuals was terrible. And as far as I know, those individuals responsible have been caught and they're being processed as we speak, or they're locked up as we speak. But that doesn't mean what happened to them means that we should all suffer for it too. Okay. The online media is fantastic. It lets people get out there and reach out and find answers for themselves. And every time you hear the magic words, misinformation and disinformation, right? Someone's scared, right? I would like to assume that all of us approach things with good conscience and integrity and just trying to be good to people. But we've seen these patterns since the better part of 2014 and 2015, how things are beginning to shift. And we've got to stand to it big time, ladies and gentlemen. And the time's now.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, folks, for this lovely edition of the Tuesday Rant with your host, Crusty Canuck, on this 27th of February, 2024, episode 264. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And once again, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this content all over your social media platforms, ladies and gentlemen. If you do see my vids on the Tube and on the Rumble, please give me a thumbs up and give me a comment. Help the algorithm going. Get the stuff out there as best as you can, because it takes wonderful people like yourselves out there to get my mug, my coworkers' mugs, everyone else's mugs who have something to say out there, to let the masses enjoy and to pick and choose what they want to see at their own leisure, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, it takes wonderful people like you. Give yourselves a round of applause, you awesome people out there who are listening right now or watching. Well, please pass this and share and comment alike. Thank you very much. And if you feel like donating to this show, you will see links in my description where you can donate at leisure. I would like to make some money doing this, ladies and gentlemen, but it takes wonderful people like you to make that happen too. I'm not going to sit and beg and whine and perhaps put an OnlyFans page up to show you my toes. Not going to stoop to that, but I wouldn't mind making some, secondary income. Because I've put a lot of time and effort in this podcast. I've invested in equipment, this microphone, my soundboard, all that good stuff. And I'd like to see the fruits of thy labor. So, but like I say, it takes wonderful people like you to make that happen. So please consider donating to the Crusty Podcast today, or buy some swagger from my shop. Link to my store is in the description as well, too. Anyway, carrying on with this episode of the Crusty Canuck Podcast Tuesday Rant. That's right. Online harms bill, C-63, and the backlash. So I have a video here queued up from our Justice Minister, Afri, whatever his name is. He's basically just a puppet for Justin Trudeau, to say the least. And listen to what he says exactly when he was asked the questions by that British reporter, or that British speaking reporter, or not British speaking. Anyway, she's got an accent, so pardon my scatterbrain stuff here. There's a lot of information coming in about this, and I'm just, oh God, I'm just so disappointed, and I'm just so fed up with these ass clowns. But you decide, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just cue this up for you, and then you decide and think for yourselves. Like Rod Serling used to say, submitted for your approval, right? God rest his soul, if there is a God out there. But you decide, folks, and then we'll go from there. So I will just cue this up here, ladies and gentlemen, for your pleasure. And pay attention, please, if you can. Right.
If you could just clarify, I mean, it comes with clarify. I mean, it comes with a potential penalty of life imprisonment. Could you just clarify for us how that would work? I mean, what kind of offences do you envisage could carry that kind of offence? And are you saying that it's no longer an aggravating factor, that it could be a standalone offence? But could you give us some examples of that?
Okay, so in terms of the second part of your question, we're not eliminating the aggravating factor.
Right.
But what we were doing, it's a little bit easier for me in English, is what we were doing is creating a freestanding hate crime defense, which touches any possible delict or crime under the Penal Code of Canada. And I think what is important about it is that it gives the police and it gives prosecutors more flexibility in terms of contemplating this aspect on the front end of their deliberative exercise, on the front end of how they will conduct their prosecutions. Very importantly, this does not require AG consent. The other hate crimes components, promoting genocide, willful promotion of hatred, things like the anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial offense, require the Attorney General's consent, as does the peace bond that I just mentioned. This provision is something that can be laid it can be initiated on an arrest warrant by a police officer and continued by the Crown, absent the consent of me or a provincial Attorney General. That is very, very important in terms of giving more tools to law enforcement. But secondly, it's important for denouncing what we are seeing right now. And that is critical. Everything you've just heard from people like Carla, everything that I've heard over the last year is that hate is on the rise in this country. We need to be providing more tools, not less, to denounce the hatred that we are seeing. And this will do exactly that.
Clarify. I mean,
Okay, so hatred's on the rise, eh? It's on the rise because the people you work for, sir, and the party you work for, and the constituents that you say you represent is being very, very frustrated, or are frustrated. and not just your constituents, but a lot of Canadians in general. Now, where was the hate crime legislation when all those churches were being burned? Where was the hate crime legislation coming in over the hijab hoax back in, was it 2021 or February 19? I forget. I should put these links up here for you. But needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, look at all the protests that have been going on since the 7th of October and the outcries and the subtle anti-Semitism and the threats given to certain police officers and the threats given to certain business owners and the threats given to anybody associated with the country of Israel. Where's the legislation towards hatred there? Right? You go online, there's a lot of people that veer towards the left that constantly finger wag at Caucasians and white people or anybody associated with white people. You're also seeing a lot of finger wagging over past parts of history that have nothing to do with you or me or anybody that's alive today. Where's the hate legislation there? So with all the hatred that's coming up in this country right now, it's amazing that leadership does not take the initiative and step back and go, oh, maybe it's our fault. But no, you won't see that, though, because they've got to hold on to their pensions, clench their pearls, and give each other a reach around on a nice, warm, sunny day.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, this beautiful 27th of February, 2024, episode 264 of the Tuesday Rant. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. This episode, the online harms bill C-63, and the backlash. So take a look around your social media platforms, and you can see the backlash when it comes to it. Rebel Media is basically saying that, the Trudeau government is basically, they want to monitor speech that they don't like. That's what it comes down to. Anytime the government puts legislation forward to put rules and regulations on the net, okay, something's up, okay? Every time any government puts rules and regulations to what you read or what you see, something's up. It's not because of safety. It's not because of, hatred. It's hatred that the government has for its people. There, I said it. I said the word hatred for the people. Okay. Now, this democracy has been notorious for electing clowns. Okay. And this democracy has been notorious for sitting on the fence on world affairs and certain issues where we should have taken more action. Now, where's the hatred going to come from if something bad happens to this country? Let's say if Russia gets so bold and they want to send some planes over the Arctic. Or let's say China gets so bold and they want to send a few planes to Taiwan and do some nasty things and maybe send some aircraft over to, let's say, Vancouver Island. Then what? And then people still have the ability to speak out against such an onslaught. Are you going to deem hatred? You're going to penalize people for speaking out against such atrocities? Right? That's what gets me. Now, if there's any federal liberal who might be watching this show, smarten up. Hey, time to take this little worldview you have of Canada and open it up a bit. Okay. And open up your horizons toward the actual globe, the actual planet, and what needs to be defended, what needs to be done. Now, we constantly hear Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland talk about democracy. Mr. Speaker, we got to defend our democracy. And yet you intentionally gaslight everybody and push these bills forward all in the name of safety. You did the same thing with the pandemic. You did the same thing with the jibby jabs. You did the same thing with the 6-foot spacing and the masks. Now you're doing it to what we see and what we read, what we want to think for ourselves, okay? This morning, I watched a blurb on Miss Freeland talking about how, Canadian defense spending has gone up. Well, okay, sure, but not for Canada. for other countries, of course, but not for Canada, right? So every time you watch the mainstream media and every time you watch these clowns talk about, oh my God, there's such a rise in hatred. Well, maybe it's because it's what you're doing. There's a rise in hatred. See, I never grew up in a household or in a community where there was rampant racism, rampant bigotry, xenophobia, homophobia, or sexism. It wasn't there. But it seems like the past 10 years, elected officials, such as the Liberal Party of Canada, certain bloc, certain NDP, that perpetuate that bring that to light and constantly finger wag and talk about victimhood and oppression. Okay. Come April 1st, you're not going to be victims anymore. You're going to be a bit richer because of people like me, fellow veterans, fellow workers alike, giving yourselves a hefty pay raise just in time to get these bills and everything set up the way you want it. So you can constantly still put people in categories. So if you're worried about bloody fucking hatred, think about what you're promoting. Because you're obviously not going to deal with the consequences of this. And there's going to be resistance. Nobody in their right mind is going to say, oh, well, I want to harm a minor and I want to harm a teenage girl or I want to harm a teenage boy. Nobody says that. There are a few people in our society that do get their jollies in a sick way by doing that kind of garbage. And there's already penalties in place to sort those individuals out. But based on the justice system we have right now, there's the catch and release all the time. Oh, you're a bad person. Oh, you've been arrested before. Oh, you're charged with this. You're charged with that. Oh, you represent this group, represent that group. Oh, okay. You're free to go. Because of ideas, because of wokeism, because of projections, not because of reality. Okay? So we have to do better in that. The hatred starts and stops with us. Let it stop with us. But put these clowns on the fucking spot. Put them in that category. It's like, you want us to stop online hatred? Fine. Get out of our lives. Hey? You want to stop bigotry? You want to stop misogyny? Get out of our lives. Quit telling us what to think. Quit telling us what to do. Quit telling us how to be. Right? It's that simple. Right? Here's the Liberal Party advert.
Join the Liberal Party of Canada. We'll tell you what to think, what to do, how to wipe, how to pick your nose, all in the name of safety.
Right? And of course, here's the NDP's version of the same thing.
Join today's NDP. We'll keep moving the goalposts. You don't walk the line for us, we'll call you racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, homophobic. We look for racism in everything. Please, join the NDP today. And subscribe and donate. Please, walk our line. Thank you.
Yeah, it's that simple, folks. It's that simple. Right? So we have to basically dissect these the next few months with the microscope and ask the tough questions. I highly suggest that we actually tell our MPs what we really think via snail mail, meaning writing letters, emails, phone calls, and do what we can to do better without, breaking a gasket. Something I think good is coming, but I also think something bad is coming too. And the best thing we need to do is to stand to it and to hold our ground. That's what I'm going to say on that right now. Anyhow, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 27th of February, 2024. I wish nothing but good things for you all out there too. In my area of the country, we have another cold snap coming. Well, we do have a cold snap now. We got about 6 inches of snow and the temperature's gone down a bit. It's a nice balmy minus 23 degrees out there. Brr, but needless to say. Anyway, I'm back on my work schedule tomorrow too, my 10-day cycle. And I've got some more screenplay and some legal stuff to go over this week. But like I've said earlier in my last episode too, I'm going to try to move the podcast to at least 3 times a week. So stay posted to my community page, my YouTube page for updates on that as well as my Facebook page. And if you have something nice to say or something bad to say, please use my email. Send me comments in every one of the videos that you do see, ladies and gentlemen. You can check me out on my podcast player too, Podbean. Please accept that. Download that too. I'm getting some more subscriptions because of wonderful people like yourselves. Anyway, just keep on doing what you got to do, ladies and gentlemen. And let us find light in this manufactured darkness. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.